Wednesday, December 30th, 2020, and we are live. Hope everybody's doing well. All right. So we're on live. Welcome to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation, the Future Radio. We're broadcasting on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network, and our YouTube channel, Michael M. Hotep, IMHOTEP. All right. So we're coming up on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. It's been a hectic year. And we saw that on our Tuesday show, we talked briefly about the passing of famed principal Joe Clark. Joe Clark from Paterson, New Jersey, who the movie Lean On Me was based upon. He passed away on Tuesday, December 29th, 2020. He was 82 years old. He had been battling a long illness. So we'll talk some about Joe Clark. And there's a interview that some people may have seen from years ago, but they may have forgotten about the interview. And this was Joe Clark on the Arsenio Hall show. Okay, this was Joe Clark on the Arsenio Hall show. And the movie Lean On Me was coming out. And he was on the show to promote the film. So this had to be, this is probably 1989 that this interview took place. So we're going to share an excerpt of that interview with you, talk some about Joe Clark. And then also we got the news today. I saw it on social media. First saw it from Essence Magazine, and we posted about it. Then I saw Sheila E. I follow Sheila E. on Instagram and Facebook, and Sheila E. posted about it. But Shabba-Doo from Breaking 1 and Breaking 2, Shabba-Doo passed away today also. So we'll talk some about that. So a lot of people are shocked by that death, by his death. And then we see that Marianne from Gilligan's Island passed away also today, passed away of COVID-19. Dawn Wales, she died at 82. Age 82. She passed away from coronavirus. We don't know what Joe Clark passed away from. He was battling a long illness, his family says. And so we don't know what he passed away from. And then Shabba-Doo, Adolfo Quinones, we know he tested negative for coronavirus, according to reports in his social media account. I was looking at his Instagram account. We know he tested negative for coronavirus. So we don't have all the details there, but he passed away as well. So we'll talk some about that. And he posted on his Instagram account on December 29th, 2020, that he tested negative for coronavirus. So another untimely passing, and that was sad also. I think he was 62 years old. I saw, 65 years old. Sorry, 65 years old. I'm looking at the reporting from blackamericaweb.com. We also posted an article from allhiphop.com as well. So we'll talk some about this on today's show. And then Tamir Rice, we didn't get a chance to talk about it on our Tuesday show, but the Department of Justice has closed the Tamir Rice case and said no federal charges will be filed in the 2014 killing of Tamir Rice. Remember, he was 12 years old. The officer said that, actually the prosecutor in the case said Tamir Rice looked older than his age. He said he looked about 20. And this was, come to find out, the officer who shot him, Officer Timothy Loman, should have never been on the street in the first place, should have never been hired by the Cleveland Police Department. And also, he started shooting Tamir Rice within about 1.8 seconds of the police car arriving on the scene. And the car had not completely stopped before he started shooting. And by most people who are reasonable, and by Attorney Benjamin Crump and others, they said the commands that he gave Tamir Rice to drop the gun or whatever it was, he didn't give him enough time to respond to the commands before he started shooting. Okay, so we'll talk a little bit about this. Associated Press has an article, NBC News has an article picked up about Associated Press. We'll talk about this as well. And then in the Breonna Taylor case, we posted this article dealing with the Breonna Taylor case. In the Breonna Taylor case, it looks like there's going to be a move to fire more officers involved in the killing of Breonna Taylor, but officers need to be charged. And if the evidence proves so, they need to be convicted regarding the killing of Breonna Taylor. You know, not charged for firing into the residence next door, firing into the wall of the neighbor of Breonna Taylor. That doesn't make sense. So we'll talk about this on today's show, okay? And we have some birthday shout outs also. We see that Cheryl Lee Ralph celebrating her birthday today, LeBron James, Tyrese Gibson. Also, singer Andra Day. This is her birthday as well, December 30th, okay? All right, so we'll talk about this and more. Oh, of course, the greatest of all time, Layla Ali. That was one of the first birthday posts I did today. Okay, 43rd birthday to Layla Ali, the greatest, probably the greatest female boxer of all time, but the daughter of the greatest of all time, also daughter of Muhammad Ali. All right, so we'll talk about this. So on the African History Network show, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world. Because right knowledge corrects wrong behavior. What you do for yourself, what you do to yourself, and what you allow other people to do to you and get away with is based upon what you think about yourself. What you think about yourself is based upon what you have been taught about yourself. What you've been taught about yourself is based upon everything you've read, heard, and seen about yourself. So when you control the radius of a man's thoughts, you can control the circumference of his actions, because the mind can't do or teach what it doesn't know. Now, we deal with a number of different topics here on the African History Network show. We deal with current events and history and politics, education, economic empowerment, entrepreneurship, relationships, love, sex, health issues, and much, much more. Sign up for our email newsletter. Text the word Kemet, K-E-M-E-T, to 22828 to sign up for our email newsletter. Text the word Kemet, K-E-M-E-T, to 22828 to sign up for our email newsletter. Also visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, and sign up for our email newsletter there as well. Okay. If you'd like this type of information, you could donate to the African History Network, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, then also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN Show, paypal.me/the AHN Show. And we're here Monday through Friday, 11 p.m. to 12 midnight Eastern Standard Time. And then Sundays, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We broadcast on 9:10 a.m. the Superstation WFDF here in Detroit. And then also on our social media platforms also. Okay. All right. So let's jump into the story dealing with, we'll start off with Joe Clark. I talked about this briefly on our Tuesday show, and everybody share this broadcast on your social media platforms. Invite your friends to tune in also. Okay. So Joe Clark, there was an article from PR Newswire that we shared, and also one from blackamericaweb.com. His name, he was born Joe Louis Clark. Joe Louis Clark, the baseball bat and bullhorn wielding principal whose unwavering commitment to his students and uncompromising disciplinary methods at Paterson, New Jersey's East Side High School, inspired the 1989 film Lean On Me, starring Morgan Freeman. Joe Clark has passed away. We got the news on Tuesday, December 29th, 2020. A longtime resident of South Orange, New Jersey, Joe Clark was 82 years old. He retired to Gainesville, Florida. He was at home and surrounded by his family when he succumbed to his long battle with illness on December 29th, 2020. Now, he was born in Rochelle, Georgia on May 8th, 1938. May 8th, 1938. Clark's family moved north to Newark, New Jersey when he was 6 years old. It was in the Garden State that Joe Clark built his legacy through both his accomplished career in education and his children, Olympian and businesswoman Joetta Clark Diggs, Olympic athlete and director of sports business development for the Bermuda Tourism Authority, Hazel Clark, and accomplished athlete and director of track and field and cross country at Stanford University, Joe Clark Jr. Now, after graduating from Newark Central High School, Joe Clark continued on to achieve his bachelor's degree from William Patterson College, now known as William Patterson University, and he achieved a master's degree from Seton Hall University and an honorary doctorate from the U.S. Sports Academy. Joe Clark's post-collegiate career as a U.S. Army Reserve sergeant and drill instructor ingrained in him a respect for order and achievement, which came to define his more than 3-decade career in education. All right, I know we're coming up on a break here. I want to go to the first part of this clip here. This is from 1989 on the Arsenio Hall show. And he was interviewing Joe Clark, and also on the couch along with Joe Clark is Ed O'Neill, talking about a relatively new TV show called Married with Children that he was starring in. Let's go to this clip.
That is, as you know, Morgan Freeman, a very talented actor. Let's meet the man that he's portraying in the movie Lean On Me, Mr. Joe Clark. Now, I'm looking at this clip and thinking to myself, is it really that bad? I mean, is that what it was like?
Things were pretty bad, deplorable, despicable, and a change had to take place expeditiously. And that's what occurred.
How did you go about bringing that change?
Well, I went about it with my famed bullhorn and the implement of peace, my baseball bat. And oftentimes, people ask me, why the bullhorn? Very simply, the bullhorn makes me omnipresent, ubiquitous. When they can't see me, they can hear the melodic echoes of the bullhorn. And you see teachers with newspapers flying, cups under the chair, and a host of things. Now, the baseball bat is rather simplistic. It simply means, young people, it's your turn at bat. What are you going to do? Strike out or hit a home run? Yeah. It also might mean, oh, you hoodlums, you thugs, you pathological deviants. We are sick of you. And if you don't stop it, we're going to beat the deportation out of you.
All right, pause it right there, Jalen. We have to go to break. So he had a prodigious vocabulary also. He said, we're going to beat the defecation out of you. All right. We're going to continue this on the other side of the break. 313-778-7600. 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. That was the one and only Joe Clark on the Arsenio Hall show from 1989. You listen to the African History Network show right here on 910 a.m. Superstation, the Future Radio. I'm Michael M. Hotep. We'll be back in a few minutes. All right, stand by, everybody. How's everybody doing? All right, everybody, share this broadcast on your social media platforms. Invite your friends to tune in also. Okay, we'll be back from break, I think, in 3 minutes. We're on commercial break. All right, and African-American business owners, post the name of your business here on the thread of the broadcast. Email us at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. We'll let you know how you can advertise with the African History Network. I'll be working on commercials the next few days and this weekend. So John Ray, I'm working on your commercial also. Got your email. Sorry, it's been hectic. Okay, what's the day? This is Wednesday. Yeah, that's okay. All right, stand by, everybody. We'll be back from break in 2 minutes. How's everybody doing? What are you all doing for New Year's Eve? Okay, Roberto, how you doing, Roberto? Everybody stand by. All right, let's see here. Yeah, so this is, I mean, all these people passing away. Joe Clark yesterday, Shabba-Doo today, Dawn Miles from Gilligan's Island. So, I mean, this has been a hell of a year. Can the music business advertise? Yeah, as far as I know, yeah, you should be able to advertise. Yep. Yeah, visit workingwithjohnray.com. Money and financial matters with John Ray, powerful financial strategies. Workingwithjohnray.com. Workingwithjohnray.com. Okay, stand by. It's been a busy day. Okay, we should be back from break in 1 minute. We'll be back on Sunday night. The radio station is shut down Thursday and Friday for New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. So the radio station 910 a.m. Superstation WFDF here in Detroit, they'll be re-airing shows. So we'll be back on live Sunday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 a.m. the Superstation, the Future Radio. Hey, I'm your host, Brother Michael M. Hotep. It is Wednesday, December 30th, 2020. And we are live. Hope everybody's doing well today. It is the also the 5th day of Kwanzaa. It is Nia, which means purpose. So right before the break, we were talking about the Joe Clark, okay, who passed away on December 29th, 2020. We're going to go back in just a second here. But the day is the 5th day of Kwanzaa, Nia, December 30th. Nia in Kiswahili means purpose. To make our collective vocation the building and developing of our community in order to restore our people to their traditional greatness, okay? To make our collective vocation the building and developing of our community in order to restore our people to their traditional greatness. If you follow us on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network, you know we've been posting about Kwanzaa each day, and posting about the principles of Kwanzaa, the Nguzo Saba, the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. And I posted also the article that I've written about Kwanzaa and the history of Kwanzaa, called Kwanzaa Reconnects African Americans to African Culture for Self-Empowerment. Kwanzaa reconnects African Americans to African culture for self-empowerment. Okay, so if you visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, right on the homepage, click on Read Articles by Michael Imhotep. You can read that article there. I think it's about 7 pages. I wrote it a few years ago and updated. And it deals with the African origins of Kwanzaa and the traditional African first fruit harvest festivals that Kwanzaa is based upon. Okay. And we see the first fruit celebrations are recorded in African history as far back as ancient Kemet, or ancient Egypt, and Nubia, or Ta-Nehesi, and appear in ancient and modern times in other classical African civilizations, such as among the Ashanti of Ghana and Yoruba of Nigeria. Okay, we also see it among the Matabele. We see it among the Thonga and Lebedu, all of southeastern Africa. We see it among the Zulu, the Amazulu, who are in South Africa. These celebrations are found in ancient and modern African societies. So Kwanzaa builds on the 5 fundamental activities of continental African first fruit celebrations. And these 5 fundamental activities are ingathering, reverence, commemoration, recommitment, and celebration. Ingathering, reverence, commemoration, recommitment, and celebration. And Kwanzaa celebrates family, community, and culture. Family, community, and culture. Okay, this is what Kwanzaa celebrates. It's a Pan-African and African-American holiday. It's a cultural holiday, not religious holiday. Okay, it's a African-American and Pan-African cultural holiday, and is celebrated by as many as 20 million people around the world. All right, we'll talk about Kwanzaa some more on our Sunday show. We have 2 hours there. And the name Kwanzaa is derived from the phrase Matunda ya Kwanzaa, which means first fruits in Kiswahili. Kiswahili is the most widely spoken language on the continent of Africa. Kiswahili is a Bantu language. Bantu is a group of about 500 languages spoken in Southern Africa, East Africa, going all the way to West Central Africa to like Cameroon. Bantu, B-A-N-T-U. isiXhosa, which is the language spoken in the film Black Panther, is a Bantu language also. Kiswahili is a Bantu language. The word Wakanda is a Bantu word. The word Kwanzaa is a Bantu word. All right. So I've done a Kwanzaa in 2018. I did a Kwanzaa presentation called From Kwanzaa to Wakanda. And I made the connection between Kwanzaa, Wakanda, African history, culture, language, things like that. All right. So also at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, we have it's a digital download and DVD lecture. It includes 4 of my Kwanzaa presentations. Okay. And it includes From Kwanzaa to Wakanda. Okay. From Kwanzaa to Wakanda, reconnecting African Americans to African culture for self-empowerment. So you can check that out there also if you want to order that. And it's on digital download, which you can start watching immediately. I think the digital download is $8 and the DVD lecture is $10. Okay, so that's at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. And we'll post this link here also on the thread of the broadcast. All right. So right before the break, we were talking about Joe Clark, who passed away age 82 on December 29th, 2020. Joe Louis Clark, famed former principal at Eastside High School in Paterson, New Jersey. The 1989 movie Lean on Me, starring Morgan Freeman portraying Joe Clark, was inspired by Joe Clark's life and his efforts to turn around Eastside High School. Now, Joe Clark, first serving as a Paterson, New Jersey grade school teacher and the director of camps and playgrounds in Essex County, New Jersey, Joe Clark soon found his calling in administration as principal of PS6 Grammar School. Under Joe Clark's command, the once failing school was transformed into the Miracle of Carroll Street, Carroll, the Miracle of Carroll Street. Committed to the pursuit of excellence, Joe Clark greeted the challenges presented to him following his appointment as the principal of crime and drug-ridden Eastside High School with eager optimism. In one day, he expelled 300 students for fighting, vandalism, abusing teachers, and drug possession, and lifted the expectations of those that remained, continually challenging them to perform better. And we all see that scene towards the beginning of Lean on Me. And that's what Arsenio Hall was referencing at the beginning of the clip that we show, where he had all the problem children, the hoodlums and the drug dealers, all of them on the stage, and he kicked them out. He kicked them out the school, and that made a big difference. That started a change in the attitude of the remaining students. And one of the things that's important when it comes to education, I come from a long line of educators, is setting high expectations for children. Okay, children oftentimes will meet the expectations that you set for them, whether they are low expectations or high expectations. So what he did was he raised the expectations, created a support system to help the children reach those expectations. Now, some of his methods, early on, he rubbed some teachers the wrong way, and probably if he had to do it again, he probably learned that, some of the ways you approach things, you turn off people who would be your allies. Okay, this is a learning process, but he did get the job done. Okay, let's go back to this clip here from the Arsenio Hall show from 1989. The real Joe Clark speaking with Arsenio Hall. Let's go back to this clip, Jalen.
I think you and Don King should get together and write a book. And so it was that tough, because Ed used to teach, right?
Yeah, I taught.
Was it that bad with you, man?
It was pretty bad where I was, yeah. It got bad. It was, no joke.
Did you ever have threats against your life? I mean, if the school is really as tough as it looks, a lot of brothers got their own back.
It wasn't so much of the bats. I was worried about the Uzis.
Oh, really?
And the hand grenades and the bombs. But quite honestly, I found out that young people want leadership. They want direction. They want parameters within which to function. And if you give them that, I found out that they will respect that and abide by those particular expectations that you have.
Okay, now that sounds great, okay? But it's hard for me to believe that there's a kid out back snorting some coke on the back of his hand who wants what you just described.
Yes, I found that even the worst element ever imaginable, because most of them are in dire straits simply because they don't have leadership. Mm-hmm. They don't have good, strong males especially to lead and guide them and help them meander through obstacle-strewn courses. And I've found 9 times out of 10, whenever someone gives them that leadership, they adjust to it quickly. That's been the experience I've had.
Okay, we'll take a commercial and we'll come right back. You're an interesting man to talk to. I got some more questions for you. We'll be right back with Joe Clark.
All right. Hey, pause it right there, Jalen. Pause it right there, and then go to 4 minutes and 20 seconds into the clip. We're gonna pick it up there. Okay, so We're going to go back to this clip here from the Arsenio Hall show from 1989 in just a second. He's speaking with the real Joe Clark. Let's go to the phone lines. We have Larry. We have Larry, line one. Larry, welcome to the African History Network show. Thanks for holding. Tell us where you're calling from, Larry.
Okay, I'm calling from Detroit.
From Detroit. Okay, go ahead.
I'm not going to interrupt. I don't mean to interrupt your current program, but I'm hearing that the president has just returned back to Washington. The reason for that, what they're saying is that he's planning on not, or the Congress is planning on not certifying the Electoral College votes.
Well, the Congress can't decide not to certify the Electoral College votes. Now, there can be a challenge. That's in the Constitution, but then both the House, you have to get a member of the House of Representatives and a member of the Senate to actually challenge. Then there'll be a debate, and then they take a vote. Well, Democrats are the majority in the House of Representatives, and in the Senate, you would need. Let me see. You got 47 under the current. No, it'd be under the new Congress. So it'd be after January 5th election. This would be January 6th. The new Congress is sworn in January 3rd. So you could have 50 Democrats or what have you, but that's not going to work. That's the bottom line. That ain't going to work.
Okay, I just wanted you to just give us some type of insight, because what I'm hearing is that Trumpsters are gathering as we speak in Washington, and the whole reason for that, what I'm hearing, is that they're going to challenge and they're going to put up some type of a front.
Well, they can challenge Senator Hawley of Missouri said he's going to challenge. It's still going to fail. You need both the House and the Senate to vote to overturn the election results in a particular state. That's not going to happen because Democrats control the House of Representatives. So they can challenge it. The challenge is going to fail. And Mike Pence is whoever the vice president is, presides over that process. But that's just ceremonial. The same thing happened in 2000. Well, actually 2001, going into 2001 with, let me see. Going into 2001 with Al Gore and representative from California, Maxine Waters, challenged because of what happened in Florida, and there wasn't I don't think there was a senator to back up the challenge, but she was citing irregularities in Florida, what have you. He asked for evidence. She didn't have the evidence, and it was still procedural. So that was those election results were confirmed. They can debate on January 6th. They're going to take the vote. Democrats are going to vote for Joe Biden in the House. There are more Democrats in the House than Republicans. You're going to have a lot of Republicans that vote for Joe Biden also because they know Joe Biden won. So they can do that. It's not going to work. All right. Thanks for calling. Okay, let's go back to this clip here from Arsenio Hall, 1989, speaking with legendary principal Joe Clark.
Yeah. How accurate? Have you seen the movie already, right?
Yes, I've seen the movie.
And the movie looks good to me. How accurately has Morgan Freeman portrayed your life?
The portrayal of events that took place are accurate. Most of the things, 95% of what you saw in that movie, in fact, did occur. And I thought that Morgan Freeman, I thought he was a splendiferous performer. He did a fantastic job. I tell you, my greatest critics are my members of my family. My wife, Hazel, my daughter, Jordan, my son, JJ, and my little daughter, Peachy. They said, Dad, that was the best depiction of you we have ever seen. The first time I went, I had to be taciturn. I couldn't show any emotion, so I sat there rigidly. The second time I went, there were little joy bells in my soul, and my heart and my soul lit out with great laughter. I'm telling you, the third time I saw that movie, I bugged out. I cracked up. The flip was bad.
You mentioned the word critic. Some of your critics say that you really didn't solve the problem. One of the things they say is that you just threw people out of your school and they went out to the street to do the same things they had been doing in the school. So you really didn't solve anything. You just placed it in a different area.
Well, that's not true. And I found out in life that any jackass can kick down a barn. It takes a carpenter to build one. What I did was bring about a reviviscence, a rejuvenation in a school. Oh, yes, I must admit now. Now, the hoodlums and thugs and old-grown men and women, they had to be expurgated. But the school was for nice young people who remained there and did a fantastic job. I commend them.
Are there, during the commercial, we're all talking. Now, we know Ed taught, but surprisingly, Tracy also was a school teacher.
I student taught. I never actually went to work as a teacher. I got dismissed.
Did you carry a bat?
They accused me of having an affair with one of the seniors.
Oh, really? That's an interesting topic for another show. We'll discuss that. How, when you deal with these kids, are there kids that come and thank you now for what you did for them? Do you ever see any of the kids?
I see the young people often. They come back and they give me much praise for at least having an environment that was conducive to learning. We eradicated the drugs, extirpated the hoodlums. We have an environment where you can learn in safety and in tranquility. And I think that educators, that's the least we can do for young people in our school system.
Okay, now how did you eradicate the drugs?
Well, the eradication of the drug problem was not as awesome as I initially thought it was going to be. Mm-hmm. I simply said, and said it forcefully and firmly, what was exists no more. I am not tolerating drugs, sex, and hooliganism in this school. And somehow they believed that. Well, I was scared. Yeah. I said, well, they might take my bullhorn and baseball bat and simultaneously wrap them around my neck. But I realized that what I was saying to them is exactly what they wanted to hear, and they conformed to it splendiferously.
See, I'm involved in a program that I've created to help kids get away from drugs. And when I deal with some of their problems, it goes so much deeper than just taking it away from them. I had a little kid who was 7 tell me he took acid. And he took acid because of family problems, because of sexual abuse, different things. It's so much deeper.
Yeah. There are problems that are indigenous to why young people get involved with drugs. Number one, as I can ascertain as I travel throughout this nation, the number one problem is the fact that in our inner cities, we don't have good role models. We don't have the Arsenio Halls who serve as an impeccable role model for young black males. Tragically, the role models are those goons standing on the corner with gold around their neck, looking like a bunch of buffoons. They have become the role models. And until such time as strong black men go and help black women who are tired. I've often said that if it wasn't for black women, our race would have perished a long time ago. Strong black men. We need that. Until we get strong black men to assist our women in our inner cities, we're headed for a rendezvous with oblivion as a race.
Mm. Are there things going on in the schools that we would never imagine? Like, I'm sure there's stuff, when I watch this, I'm sure there's stuff that goes on that we probably wouldn't even believe. Tell me about those kind of things.
Well, we have brought about a rejuvenation at our school. Mm-hmm. Our school is a unique inner city school. We don't have the problems, some of the problems that the others have. Mm-hmm. Well, let's just talk about some of the things I've heard of and seen. The drug problem is pervasive in our inner city schools. It's also pervasive in suburbia, but they cover it up. We have very serious academic problems. We have problems of incest. We have the problems of rape, truancy, alcoholism, family breakdowns, ad infinitum. The problems are massive. And oftentimes, as principals and educators, we never get to the real issue, which happens to be educating young people.
We have a big job ahead of us, man. I thank you for your part.
Thank you.
Mr. Joe Clark.
All right. Pause it right there, Jalen. All right. So that was from 1989. That was Joe Clark on the Arsenio Hall show. So I was between yesterday and today, I was going through watching interviews with Joe Clark from 89. And there was a controversy when he got back to Patterson, New Jersey, after he did the Arsenio Hall show. There was some type of performance at the some type of variety show performance by an outside group at his school, and it got risque, and he ended up being suspended for 5 days. But I remember back in the late 80s, and before the movie Lean on Me came out, I remember seeing news reports about Joe Clark in Patterson, New Jersey, and how he was turning around the school, and he had his bullhorn and his baseball bat. But one of the things that he did to turn around the school was to check the students' homework in the morning when they came home. I mean, when they came to school, and he would check it. I can't remember whether it was a smiley face or something, but it was the students were enthusiastic, most of them enthusiastic to have the principal check their homework. Okay. So I remember Run DMC talking about how they wish they had a principal like that when they were in school as well. Then there was an episode of 227. After, he became, well known nationally, there was an episode of 227 where Joe Clark made an appearance at playing himself also. You can find clips of that on YouTube. 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. So Joe Clark passed away, legendary principal, educator, passed away December 29th, 2020, at the age of 82 after battling a long illness. Now, if we go back and look at this article from prnewswire.com, and then also there was one from blackamericaweb.com also on Joe Clark. And that ignorant ass senator's name is Josh Hawley. I posted an article dealing with Josh Hawley earlier today from kansascity.com. Senator Josh Hawley, Republican from Missouri, becomes first senator to say he'll try to block certification of Biden's win. He can try it. He's not going to succeed. 1. 2, it's suspected he wants to run for president in 2024. Okay. So in some analysts are saying it's going to be interesting to see how Trump treats Hawley when Trump realizes that Hawley wants to run for president in 2024. Several House Republicans have previously signaled their intention to do the same, with members of both the House and Senate planning objections. It'll set off a dramatic scenario requiring a vote in both chambers, both the House of Representatives and the U.S. Senate. The January 6 votes are January 6, 2021 votes. That's when the House and the Senate vote to certify the election results from the Electoral College. Okay. The January 6 votes are unlikely to change the outcome of the election, but they will cap off a prolonged effort by Donald Trump's allies seeking to overturn the president's defeat and hinder Biden's transition. Well, there were a lot of Republicans who won re-election or won for the first time in that same election. So you're going to overturn the results of their votes too? You're going to overturn the result of their elections as well? Republicans picked up seats in the House of Representatives. You're going to overturn the results of those elections? That's what you're talking about doing also? Check yourself before you wreck yourself. Read this article from kansascity.com, kansascity.com. Josh Hawley, Hawley, becomes first senator to say he'll object to certification of Biden's win. Now, that's what he says now. We'll see what actually happens January 6th. He could be selling wolf tickets. That's what he says now. We'll see what actually happens January 6th. We saw dumbass Louis Gohmert. And my mom told me stop calling dumbass people, but you know, I'm gonna pull them out the source to find out another word for him. But research Louis Gohmert from Texas, Republican from Texas. He's an idiot. When you realize who he is, you say, "Oh, that dumbass." Okay, Louis Gohmert's trying to sue Mike Pence, VP Mike Pence, to get Mike Pence to overturn election results. Mike Pence don't have the authority to do that. Mike Pence presides over the process on January 6th, but that's just ceremonial. He don't have no authority to do that. These are some of the most ignorant people you ever want to see. And these people vote on policies that impact 330 million people. This is why I say elections have consequences. Okay? It's not always about what somebody can do for you. It's also about understanding how to block and stop what people are trying to do to you. That's why a lot of these ignorant people in the House and the Senate have to be voted out of office. Josh Hawley and Louis Gohmert are two prime examples. All right. So today, December 30th, we see is the 64th birthday of Cheryl Lee Ralph, actress, singer, author, and activist. She made her screen debut in the 1997 comedy film A Piece of the Action with Sidney Poitier and Bill Cosby, one of the trilogies. And James Earl Jones was in there, and Denise Nicholas. She was in a piece of the action before landing her breakthrough role as Dina Jones in the Broadway musical Dreamgirls, for which she received Tony Award nomination Tony Award nomination for Best Actress in a Musical. We know today is also the 36th birthday of Andra Day, singer and songwriter from San Diego, California. Andra Day. And then also this is the 42nd birthday of Tyrese Gibson, born December 30th, 1978. Tyrese, we saw him in the movie Bad Boy. He gained stardom from a Coca-Cola commercial. He's a singer, songwriter, author, rapper, actor, model. And we saw him in the Fast and Furious movies as well. And then today is the 43rd birthday of one Layla Ali. She's not only probably the greatest female boxer of all time, but she looks pretty good. She's pretty easy on the eyes as well. Born December 30th, 1997, December 30th, 1977. Daughter of the greatest of all time, Muhammad Ali. She's a television personality and former professional boxer who competed from 1999 to 2007. She's the daughter of Muhammad Ali and is the 8th of her father's 9 children. During her career, from which she retired undefeated, she held the WBC, WIBA, IWBF, and IBA female super middleweight titles, and the IWBF light heavyweight title, IWBF light heavyweight title as well. So happy birthday to Layla Ali. All right. So we lost Shabba-Doo from break-in in the lockers. Adolfo Shabba-Doo Quinones passed away December 30th. He was 65 years old. BlackAmericaWeb.com has an article about this. I first saw a post about this from Essence Magazine on Facebook and on Instagram. Essence, and then Sheila E. posted about this as well. So we share those posts on our Facebook fan page, the African History Network. So Adolfo Shabba-Doo Quinones, famed dancer and star of the films Breakin' and Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo, has reportedly passed away. Friend and fellow dancer singer Toni Basil confirmed the news on her social media accounts. Remember Toni Basil? Oh, Mickey, you so fine, you blow my mind. Hey, Mickey. Toni Basil she teaches hip hop dancing. Okay, she may teach breakdancing also, but she teaches hip hop dancing because I've seen her do it. I was like, that's Toni Basil. That's Toni Basil, who was a cheerleader in the Mickey video. I didn't know she, I didn't know she did hip hop dancing. So details are unknown at this time, but on December 29th, 2020, Shabba-Doo posted on his social media accounts that he tested negative for COVID-19. And there's a picture of him as well. And he said, he was feeling better. So the Chicago-born Quinones, famously known as Shabba-Doo, was a member of the original Lockers, along with What's Happening star Fred Rerun Barry and Toni Basil. So Toni Basil was a member of the Lockers also. And I saw it was a video. How did I find this out? I found this out a few years ago. It was a video or something of Toni Basil teaching hip hop dancing or something. And I started researching some more. And I was like, okay, she was one of the Lockers. I don't think I knew that. So I remember Toni Basil from the early 80s. She had the hit song Mickey. Oh, Mickey, you're so fine, you blow my mind. Hey, Mickey. And she's a cheerleader in it, but I didn't know she did hip hop dancing. Okay. So we all remember Fred Rerun Barry from What's Happening, and remember him dancing on What's Happening. He was a member of the original Lockers also. In this article from blackamericaweb.com, they have a performance of the Lockers from 1975 on Soul Train. Okay, you have to check this out. So the group, the Lockers pioneered locking or pop locking and was featured on Soul Train. His major moment came as Ozone, the name of his famous character in the Breaking series, the movies, theatrical movies, Breaking. The Breaking series is one of the first films that featured hip hop and breakdancing. Okay. Now, Shabba-Doo also was a choreographer for artists including Madonna, Lionel Richie, and Luther Vandross. So check out this article here from blackamericaweb.com. Report dancer and breaking star Adolfo Shabba-Doo Quinones dies. He was 65 years old. And I said this before. We lost Ecstasy a few days ago of Houdini, and when we like in the 80s, right? And we're listening to these hip hop artists, and we're watching Breaking. I went to go see Breaking in the theater, and when I saw Breaking in the theater, man, it blew us away because it's like, okay, break dancing has arrived. It's like break dancing is like really broken. It's like really being accepted now. It's really arrived. We going back to like the 80s, we did not see a time when these artists and singers and rappers would die like in their 60s or 50s, 60s. We didn't foresee that happening, So, okay, we're going to continue this discussion here on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, on our YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep. We're out of time here on 9:10 a.m. Superstation WFDF. Happy New Year to everybody. We'll be back Sunday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the African History Network show. We're here Monday through Friday, 11 p.m. to 12 midnight Eastern Standard Time, Sundays 9 p.m. Remember, right now, it's correct. Wrong behavior is not over till we win. Wakanda forever. You can donate $ TheAHNShow through Cash App, $ TheAHNShow through Cash App, and through PayPal, paypal.me/TheAHNShow, and at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Stay tuned for Pastor Greg Davis. We'll talk to you next time. Peace. All right, stand by, everybody. Let me stand by. Let me end this call. All right, how's everybody doing? Okay. All right, just a second here. All right, how's everybody doing? Everybody's broadcasting on social media platforms. Invite your friends to tune in also. We'll be here for a few more minutes. Okay, so let me try to clear this here. All right, there we go. All right, how's everybody doing? Okay, share this broadcasting on social media platforms. Invite your friends to tune in as well. We'll be here for a few more minutes. I want to look at these other stories here briefly. We have, let's see here. Going back to Joe Clark quickly. So Joe Clark was committed to the pursuit of excellence. Joe Clark greeted the challenges presented to him following his appointment as the principal of crime and drug-ridden East Side High School with eager optimism. In one day, he expelled 300 students for fighting vandalism, abusing teachers, and drug possession, and lifted the expectations of those that remained, continually challenging them to perform better, roaming the hallways with a bullhorn and a baseball bat, Joe Clark's unorthodox methods won him both admirers and critics nationwide. Steadfast in his approach, Clark explained that the bat was not a weapon, but a symbol of choice. A student could either strike out or hit a home run. Impressed by the expeditious changes imparted on the troubled school, president across the country. Let's see here. Okay. So Joe Clark appeared on programs including 60 Minutes and the Arsenio Hall Show and was featured on the cover of Time magazine before the motion picture Lean On Me, starring Morgan Freeman, memorialized his work. So a lot of people are circulating the picture of him on the cover of Time magazine. After Joe Clark retired from Eastside High School in 1989, Clark worked for 6 years as the director of Essex County Detention House, a juvenile detention center in Newark, New Jersey. He also wrote Laying Down the Law, Joe Clark's Strategy for Saving Our Schools, detailing his methods for turning around Eastside High School and how they can be applied to combat crime, permissiveness, and academic decline in schools nationwide. Nearly 30 years after his retirement, Joe Clark's captivating career offered inspiration to executive directors John Legend and LeBron James for a television series reflecting his philosophy's generational transcendence. His wife passed on first, his wife Gloria, and Clark's legacy as an influential educator and father of New Jersey's most storied track and field family lives on through his children, Joetta, Hazel, and JJ, and grandchildren Talitha, Jorel, and Hazel. All right, so check out this article here from prnewswire.com. Joe Clark, Paterson, New Jersey's principal has passed away. This is from December 29th, 2020. Okay, very quickly here, in dealing with Tamir Rice, NBCnews.com has an article picked up from the Associated Press. No federal charges for officers in 2014 fatal shootings at Tamir Rice, Department of Justice says. Video from the shooting of the 12-year-old in Cleveland was, quote unquote, too poor for prosecutors to conclusively establish what happened, the Justice Department announced. Now, the Justice Department announced on Tuesday, December 29th, that it would not bring federal criminal charges against 2 Cleveland police officers in the 2014 killing of 12-year-old Tamir Rice. All right, citing that the video quality was too poor for prosecutors to conclusively establish what happened. In closing the case, the department brought to an end a long-running investigation, a high-profile shooting that helped galvanize the Black Lives Matter movement, and that became part of the national dialogue about police use of force against minorities, quote unquote, minorities, including children. The decision, revealed in a lengthy statement, does not condone the officer's actions, but rather says the cumulative evidence was not enough to support a federal criminal civil rights prosecution. Now, Tamir Rice, as you remember, was playing with a pellet gun outside a recreation center in Cleveland on November 22nd, 2014, when he was shot and killed by Officer Timothy Loman, who was white, seconds after Loman and his partner, Officer Frank Garmback, Garmback, arrived at the scene. Now, I remember back when this case happened, and Attorney Benjamin Crump talked about how, because they had still photos of what was taking place, they reviewed the video from surveillance video, and it was determined that Timothy Loman started shooting about 1.8 seconds after they arrived on the scene. The car arrived on the scene, and the police car had not completely stopped moving before he opened fire. It was like about 1.86 seconds, something like that, just under 2 seconds. Okay. And one of the things they were saying is that, now he said he gave verbal commands, but the other thing that they said was, well, the windows was still rolled up on the squad car. But even if you did give verbal commands, you didn't give enough time for Tamir Rice to respond to your verbal commands. Okay. Now, the other thing that is oftentimes left out of this conversation is that Ohio is an open carry state. Ohio is an open carry state. So if you thought he was 20, or if you weren't exactly sure of his age, what have you, Ohio is an open carry state. It's legal to have a firearm. Okay. Now, you can't point the firearm at people, but it's legal to have a firearm. So Tamir Rice was playing with the pellet gun outside a recreation center in Cleveland, Ohio, on November 22nd, 2014. The officers were called to the recreation center after a man drinking beer and waiting for a bus had called 911 to report that a guy was pointing a gun at people. The caller told a 911 dispatcher that it was probably a juvenile and the gun might be a fake, but that information was never relayed to the officers by the dispatcher. The person calling in said that it was probably a juvenile and the gun might be a fake, but that information was not relayed by the dispatcher to the officers who responded. Now, to bring federal civil rights charges in cases like these, the Justice Department must prove that the officers' actions willfully broke the law rather than being the result of a mistake, negligence, or bad judgment. They have to prove what's called willful intent. With the only thing the Department of Justice can charge the officers with is depriving Tamir Rice of his civil rights. They have to prove what's called willful intent. They have to prove that the officers willfully intended to deprive him of his civil rights, willfully broke the law rather than them shooting him as the result of a mistake, negligence, or bad judgment. Willful intent goes basically to state of mind. Okay, so the standard that the Department of Justice has to meet is based upon federal law. The federal law is not set by the Department of Justice, it's set by Congress. There's the law that passed the House of Representatives and the U.S. Senate. They have to, the House of Representatives and the U.S. Senate needs to lower the standard that has to be met, because the standard is very high. Is really hard to meet that standard. If they lowered the standard, okay, to be more reasonable, you could get more convictions. You would have more prosecutions, and you would have more convictions. So to bring federal civil rights charges in cases like these, the Justice Department must prove that an officer's actions willfully broke the law. They have to prove willful intent. Okay, research that term, willful intent. They have to prove that they willfully broke the law rather than it being the killing being or shooting being the result of a mistake, negligence, or bad judgment. Now, it has been consistently a tough burden for federal prosecutors to meet willful intent, to prove willful intent, across both Democratic and Republican administrations, with the Justice Department declining criminal charges against police officers in other high-profile cases in recent years, including in the deaths of Eric Garner in New York City and Michael Brown of Ferguson, Missouri. In this case, the Justice Department said poor quality surveillance video recorded in the area where the shooting took place prevented prosecutors from being able to conclusively determine whether Rice was or was not reaching for his toy gun just prior to being shot. Okay. But the other thing is if you say that you gave him verbal commands, put the gun down, you didn't give him enough time to respond to the commands. It's like the way the whole thing evolved was problematic. Okay, the way the whole thing evolved was problematic. The other problem was it was found out that because of Timothy Loehmann's history as a police officer with a previous police department, he should have never been on the street in the first place. Based upon his personnel record, he should have never been on the street in the first place. So the two officers who were investigated told authorities soon after the shooting that Rice was reaching for his toy weapon prior to being shot and was given multiple commands to show his hands. Now, how was he given multiple commands? You started shooting like about 1.86 seconds after you arrived on the scene. So how many multiple commands did you give? But the video reviewed by prosecutors makes the sequence of events less clear. The grainy time lapse video, which has no audio, quote, does not show detail or perspective, end quote, and the camera's view is obstructed by a police patrol car, prosecutors said. In addition, they said though the positioning of the boy's arms suggests they were in the vicinity of his waist, quote, his hands are not visible in the video and it cannot be determined from the video what he was doing, end quote. Now, the Justice Department says 7 use of force experts, 3 retained by the family, 4 by local authorities, reviewed the recording. Okay, the Justice Department says 7 use of force experts, 3 retained by the family of Tamir Rice, 4 retained by local authorities, reviewed the recording, but the poor quality of the video on which they relied and their, quote, conflicting opinions added little to the case, end quote. The experts used by the family said the shooting was unreasonable, while the 4 others said that it was reasonable. So the 3 use of force experts used by the Tamir Rice family said the shooting was unreasonable, while the other four use of force experts used by local authorities said the shooting was reasonable. Now, the New York Times reported in October 2020 that the Department of Justice had effectively shut down the investigation, but Tuesday's announcement makes it official. Inconsistent witness statements also complicated any prosecution. Inconsistent witness statements also complicated any prosecution, and neither person said they saw exactly what Tamir Rice was doing just before the shooting, according to the Department of Justice. Now, in a statement at the scene, to three other law enforcement officers, Officer Timothy Loman, quote, repeatedly and consistently stated, quote, that Tamir was reaching for a gun before he shot him, prosecutors said. Okay. In statements at the scene, Officer Timothy Loman said to three other law enforcement officers, quote, repeatedly and consistently stated, quote, that Tamir Rice was reaching for a gun before he shot him. Now, both Timothy Loman and Garmick, Officer Loman and Garmbach, also said in statements after the shooting that Officer Timothy Loman had given Tamir, quote, multiple commands to show his hands before shooting, end quote, and both officers saw him reaching for the weapon. Prosecutors said Timothy Loman and Garmbach were the only two witnesses in the, quote, near vicinity of the shooting, end quote. But you started shooting after when you go watch the video of this, the squad car hadn't completely stopped. When the squad car is arriving on the scene, the squad car had not come to a complete stop before Loman starts shooting. I have to go back and find a video because Benjamin Crump talked about this. They started shooting. Loman starts shooting, and they had been on the scene for a little less than 2 seconds. So how many verbal commands did you give in 2 seconds? And they said they gave multiple verbal commands. How many verbal commands did you give in 2 seconds before you stopped shooting? And then the other thing is that when you give verbal commands, you have to give people a reasonable amount of time. We know it's going to be a few seconds, but you have to give people a reasonable amount of time to respond to your verbal commands. So when they say they gave multiple verbal commands to show your hands, how many times did you say that in 2 seconds before you started shooting? The Justice Department also investigated whether officers obstructed justice in statements they made to other investigators soon after the shooting. Prosecutors concluded that though the statements included some different language, they were generally consistent. And since there was not enough evidence to prove the statements were untrue, there was also not enough evidence to prove that the officers sought to mislead investigators or to obstruct a probe into their actions. Okay, now if I remember correctly from this case, I don't think the officers were wearing body cameras. It was surveillance video. It was like a surveillance camera nearby. Okay, it wasn't body camera footage. If I remember correctly, the officers were not wearing body cameras. So, okay, but when you research this case, Loman, because of his personnel file at a previous police department, He should have never been on the street in the first place. Read this article here from NBCnews.com. No federal charges for officers in 2014 fatal shooting of Tamir Rice, DOJ says. This is from NBCnews.com, picked up from the Associated Press. We may talk about that some on my Sunday night show. I want to hear some more legal analysis of this case here. Then in the Breonna Taylor case, very quickly here, and we're going to get out of here. How's everybody doing? National Public Radio has an article on this, npr.org, also NBCnews.com. Louisville police to fire 2 more officers involved in death of Breonna Taylor. This is from December 29th, 2020. We didn't have a chance to talk about this on our Tuesday night show. The Tuesday night show was jam-packed. So we didn't have a chance to talk about this. But two police officers who were part of the raid that ended with the shooting and death of Breonna Taylor, a 26-year-old African-American woman, are reportedly being terminated by the Louisville Metro Police Department. The move comes 9 months after Taylor was killed in her apartment. The move comes 9 months after Taylor was killed in her apartment, when police attempted to carry out a search warrant. Now, attorneys for detectives Miles Cosgrove and Joshua James have confirmed to member station WFPL that both have been given pre-termination letters by Chief Yvette Gentry. Quote, "We intended to show up to the pre-termination hearing on December 31st, and we're going to contest this action. We're going to contest this action, although I'm not optimistic about interim Chief Gentry changing her decision," end quote, said Thomas Clay, the lawyer for officer for Detective Joshua James, Jaynes. National Public Radio was unable to contact Clay for comment. Now, Detective Joshua James was not at the raid. He was responsible for obtaining the police warrant that led to the incident at Breonna Taylor's home. James asked the court to issue a warrant supporting his request by saying that police learned from a postal inspector that a drug suspect, Taylor's ex-boyfriend, had received packages at her address, but he later acknowledged to investigators that he had not verified that information with a postal inspector. Okay, let me repeat this. Detective James asked the court to issue a warrant supporting his request by saying that police learned from a postal inspector that a drug suspect, Breonna Taylor's ex-boyfriend, had received packages at her address. But he then later acknowledged to investigators that he had not verified that information with a postal inspector. So it appears that he lied. It appears that he lied. That's what it sounds like. Quote, "These are extreme violations of our policies which endangered others," end quote, Chief Gentry wrote in the pre-termination letter obtained by the New York Times. Cosgrove was one of multiple police officers who fired shots that killed Breonna Taylor. His lawyer did not give a comment for WFPL. Tuesday's firings come after Detective Brett Hankinson was terminated in June 2020. When reached for comment, Louisville Metro Police Department told NPR, National Public Radio, that they are unable to give or send information on any parts of the case until it is closed. Okay, so we'll talk about this some more as more information comes out regarding this case. Check out this article here from National Public Radio, NPR.org. Louisville police to fire 2 more officers involved in death of Breonna Taylor. All right. So we'll post the link to this article here as well. All right. Hey, if you like this type of information, you can donate to the African History Network, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, $ the AHN Show through Cash App. Then also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN Show, paypal.me/the AHN Show. And then also at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. This really helps us, especially being that we're here 6 days a week instead of 1 day a week. Helps us keep doing the research, stay on the air, keep broadcasting. You can visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Our DVD lectures are there, digital downloads. We're shipping out a lot of orders in the next few days here. Also, African American business owners, post the name of your business here on the thread of the broadcast. Email us at customerservice@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, customerservice@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. We'll let you know how you can advertise with the African History Network. We have the Michael M. Hotep Black History Month 15 DVD bundle pack. That's on sale right now also. I think that's $100. It's 15 of my lectures, DVD lectures. And I'm dealing with all different topics. We deal with, I think, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school is in there, but we deal with the history of African American History Month. There's a number of different presentations in that package. Also, we have the Black Migration 1619 to 2019 6 DVD bundle pack, also Black Migration 1619 the 2019, and it's in digital download format as well. So all that is at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Okay, we have Black Migration 1619 to 2019, and it deals with the 400th year anniversary of August 20th, 1619. So we have a number of presentations in there also. All right, we got to get out of here. Remember, right now, let's correct wrong behaviors, not over till we win. Wakanda forever. Happy New Year to everybody. And Harry's Kwanzaa. Happy Kwanzaa. And we'll talk to you next time. Peace.